Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're looking at the Stop Motion Plus camera app for your Sony cameras, so you can make your own stop motion videos like this. I'm going to be covering the installation, operation, and importing the files, and I'm also going to give you my own opinion on whether or not this is worth your $5. What? You don't want to spend any money? Well, the touchless shutter app and the smart remote app are free, and I have videos on both of them. I'll throw up an annotation here for you to click through, but I promise you'll learn something even if you don't end up buying the app. Let's jump in. If you aren't familiar with stop motion videos, might I suggest one of my favorite classic YouTube videos of all time, Tony versus Paul. I think this is the first viral YouTube video I can remember. A stop motion video involves taking a picture, moving something in that picture slightly, and then taking another picture without moving your camera. You repeat this 24 times, and that gets you 1 second of video. It is very tedious and requires a lot of patience, but you can get some really cool results out of it.
But Brandon, I already spent $10 on the time-lapse app and another $5 on that sweet guide you made for it. This sounds like the same thing.
Well, it's definitely similar. For one, like a time-lapse, you're taking a whole bunch of images, one at a time, and stitching them together to animate them. Stop motion videos involve a little more creativity in that you are the one forcing the action of the scene, whereas with a time-lapse, it's more of a moving picture. Time-lapses involve a good sense of composition and photography in general, and then taking the same picture for 10 minutes, or an hour, or even a day, whereas a stop-motion video might involve more storytelling, or at the very least, the forcing of an action. Like a time-lapse, stop-motion videos are also stationary, meaning your camera doesn't move, it stays in one place. So you're going to need a tripod, even if it's just a little one, for your desk to make claymation videos. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy it here. If you already have a PlayStation Network account, you can sign in with that. If not, go online and make one. I'm one of the 12 people in the world that still plays their PS Vita. So for Christmas, I asked for some PlayStation Network money. After buying Undertale, I didn't finish it, please don't spoil it, I had about $9 left in my wallet that I figured I could use towards the Stop Motion Plus app. So I got a little confused with this part because I had $9 in my account's wallet, and it looked like they still wanted to charge my credit card. I ended up removing my credit card from the account, and they wouldn't let me complete the purchase without it. I spent an hour with various people in customer service trying to figure out what was going on, but nobody knew, and they just kept passing me around to different people. It was 4 people in total. In the end, I just added my credit card back to the account, assuming they would charge my card, but they ended up taking it from my wallet. So yeah, you can buy it with PlayStation Network money, but you also need a credit card, so it kind of defeats the purpose. Now, I know that some people have had issues installing apps through their cameras, but I had no luck trying to install it through my computer. When you click Proceed to Purchase through the PlayMemories website, you get prompted to install the PlayMemories Camera Apps Downloader, or PMCA Downloader for short. I know it says PC here, and I am running on a Mac, but when you click through to the If Installation Fails button, the PMCA Downloader for Mac that they had me download and install ended up just being PlayMemories Home, which might be a useful tool for some of you for importing files and such, but I couldn't figure out how to download apps through it. Anyways, let's just jump into operation. That's probably why you clicked on this video in the first place. The setup is very similar to the time-lapse app. The application top gives you 3 modes: Standard, Miniature, and Custom. Standard appears to put your camera in some kind of a fully automatic mode, and Miniature adds a blur to make the scene look like a, quote, miniature model. So, like always, I'm gonna just shoot with the custom mode. That way I can set my shutter speed, aperture, ISO, etc. While in custom mode, you can set your camera's mode wheel on the top, or depending on what kind of camera you have, to S, A, P, or M, and I'm not going to go over what all of those mean, but for me, I shoot manual. I want to set the aperture and shutter speed, so I'm going to set it to M. It gives me full control over everything. When we open up our menu, there are really only a few things that matter here. File format will allow you to take individual still images or stitch them together for you at the frame rate options they give you. 1 frame per second, 10 frames per second, 24 frames per second, and 30 frames per second. If you choose to shoot in one of these movie modes, you get either a 1080 or 720 HD video file in an AVI format. I'll be talking more about importing these files later on. If you decide to shoot still images, you'll be able to set a few extra things on the second menu page. This includes aspect ratio, which you'll usually want to leave at 16:9 because 16:9 is the aspect ratio for modern video, including HD video and 4K video. Then you can set your quality, which basically boils down to whether or not you want to shoot RAW, JPEG, or both. Extra fine just means a higher resolution JPEG. RAW images give you more options to edit in post, but stop motion videos are usually done in a more controlled environment where you aren't worried about things like recovering highlights, like you might be worried about if you were shooting a time-lapse made of RAW photos. So if I were you, I would just stick to JPEG. Now, unlike the time-lapse app, you can't get photo and video simultaneously. But why would you want still images rather than a video file? Well, the still image it spits out is 6000 by 3376 pixels when you are shooting on a 16:9 aspect ratio. I'm shooting with my A6300. This is nearly double the resolution of 4K video, which is only 3840 pixels by 2160 pixels. This means that if you shoot with still images in extra fine quality and you stitch them together in editing, you will be able to upload a 4K video to YouTube. Does your video need to be in 4K? Well, no, but a lot of people like having the option. The other menu items aren't really all that important and boil down to flash settings and other camera settings, most of which can be accessed by pressing the FN button on my camera, which I would prefer to do anyways. So now that all our menu settings are covered, let's actually shoot this thing. Come up with your idea. Maybe you want to make some model clay mold into something on its own, or maybe you want your Legos to move around and tell a story. Whatever you choose, make sure you're in an environment where you are in control of the light. If you're shooting for a few hours outside, the lighting will definitely change and mess you up. I actually made the mistake of shooting with battery-powered lights, which slowly started to lose their power and made each shot gradually darker. Make sure you're using light sources that you can plug into a wall. You might want to consider a remote or a shutter release so that you're not touching your camera, making it move. If you don't have one, don't worry. You can set the self-timer on the bottom of the first menu page to 2 seconds. This will allow for a steady shot if you're shooting at a slower shutter speed, since pressing the button of your shutter will be delayed. So now all our settings and scene are set, and we're ready to start. Take your first picture. Cool. Now move whatever it is you're moving and take another picture. The app will show you a sort of ghost of the last picture you took for you to reference how much you've moved things around. Keep repeating this until you did your entire animation. When you're done, press the middle button on your camera and you'll get a little preview. You get this preview even if you're only shooting stills. We're all done. Congrats, you made a stop motion video. But before I go, I'm gonna show you where to find all those lovely photos and videos that we took. Pop your memory card into your computer. If you only shot stills, they will be in the DCIM folder that you normally see your pictures. If you want to see your video files, go back to your memory card, select the private folder, open the folder called Sony, and this will give you all of your video files from your apps. The stop motion one is app_STPM. Each video is saved in a folder with a bunch of seemingly random numbers. You can go ahead and copy that to your desktop or wherever you want to save it. Now, I don't really want to get too into the processing of still images into a video sequence, since you're all probably using different video editing software, but it is the same process in Premiere Pro as it is to create a time lapse. So I'll show you how to do that really quick. Before you import, you'll want to set what the default frame rate of the sequence will be. Open up Preferences and under the Media tab, set the Indeterminate Media Time Base to your desired frame rate. Then go to File, Import, and find the stop motion images. You'll want to have each animation or scene separated in folders. Click on the first image, and then in your options underneath, you should see a box for Image Sequence. You can check that off. Once it's checked, click Import, and you're good to go. So, do I think this app is worth your $5? Well, yeah, if you want to make stop motion videos. Otherwise, you're gonna have to find some sort of software for your computer that allows you to connect your camera, and it gives you that ghosting effect that lets you see the previous frame. I would have liked the option to shoot video and photo simultaneously, but it's not a big deal breaker, especially for some people who are just gonna post the video file to social media sites that don't accept 4K anyways, like Instagram. It's just a shame that they're kind of phasing out the PlayMemories apps. I mean, with the A7R Mark III and the A9, and now with the A7 Mark III. According to DP Review, they're packaging the A7 Mark III with computer software called Imaging Edge, which has 3 apps: Remote, Viewer, and Edit. If that's the direction that you want to take it, Sony, you're gonna piss off a lot of customers you already won over from Canon. Even Canon is including a built-in intervalometer on their newer DSLRs. And although the time-lapse app isn't perfect, I'd rather use that than have to bring around an external intervalometer. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the Canon intervalometer on the 60 Mark II can output a 4K video file. Yes, Sony may have beat Canon to consumer 4K video, but Canon beat Sony to 4K time-lapse video. Thanks for watching. If you're new to this channel, I have a bunch of other Sony camera app tutorials you should check out. I also do videos about camera gear and working as a freelance videographer. Make sure you subscribe to see more coming soon, and leave a comment if you want to see a specific tutorial in the future.